Like they did drums and everything everywhere else, but Rivers was just there every day, and like that guy is so fucking good. He's an insane guitar player. Like a lot of people don't realize how good he is. He would just be screwing around and playing these weird, crazy, like heavy metal, like Yngwie Malmsteen riffs. You would just walk past the door, and he's like, it was awesome. My name's P. Lyman. I'm the owner of Infrasonic Mastering. We have locations in Nashville, Los Angeles, and Oakland, and this is our Nashville facility. I moved out here about 2 years ago and joined forces with a producer named Reed Shippen. We share a building together. We've got Reed's big SSL mix room on the other side and 3 mastering rooms here. When this facility became available, I came in, I ended up having to do some construction in this room to start, but because of the Trinnov and the ST2, I was able to get up and running pretty quickly. Without the Trinnov, it would have been a very difficult move. It would have taken me a lot longer to learn the room. And I also do spend time in Los Angeles, and the rooms have to make sense to me. So we have the same speakers in all of our locations, and we have Trinnovs in all of our locations. So being able to just walk into the studio, spend just a couple minutes getting used to some of the subtle differences, but it being a familiar sound is really important. My take on room correction before I became familiar with the Trinnov was it just seemed like complete voodoo to me, like something that shouldn't be done. But what the Trinnov does is it just gives you a lot more flexibility and allows you to do small micro tweaks in the room. So it's been really helpful for us. One of the ways we utilize it is we have multiple engineers working in this room. With the push of a button, the room is completely tailored. When the Trinnov is doing its thing, we don't pay any attention to it. So it is completely transparent to us other than making sure that it's set up for the user. We don't even think about it. It's just like you don't think about your power amps every day, so we don't think about the Trinnov. It just does what we need it to do. The first time I heard it in LA, when Trinnov came to do a demo, they did a demo in my room, and it was amazing. But it was interesting to be able to hear the before and after, and then they showed us how to integrate a sub, and I was sold then. So that's when we bought our first system. Then when I moved to Nashville, I picked up another system, and my assistant has a system as well. So 3 ST2s. The biggest difference I heard was the strength of the center and just better stereo imaging and depth. I think that's the strength of the Trinnov. It's not just applying EQ. I don't understand everything it's doing, but I don't need to because that's the Trinnov's job. It's definitely one of the strongest points in my monitoring chain, and I really would have a hard time working without it. I have to constantly monitor a bunch of different sources and be able to flop back and forth. So having it at the end of my chain, I don't have to worry about anything. So I don't think about it. It's made me work a lot faster. I probably shave 2.5 hours a day off a normal album just from using the Trinnov. It's so much easier to work. There's no second guessing. Everything sounds like I expect it to sound. If the audio comes in and it sounds bad, I immediately know what I need to address. Your monitoring system is your microscope. So if you can't trust that, or if there's a thin layer of Vaseline over the lens of your microscope, you're not going to have accurate results. And I think the Trinnov kind of takes that Vaseline away. It sort of unobscures the image. You learn the room and the speakers, you let the Trinnov do its thing. Once it's doing what it needs to do, you can kind of tailor it to your liking. It's really easy to make those adjustments on the Trinnov. Bottom line is, if you can't hear what you're doing, you can't work, and you shouldn't be working. If you can't trust your room and trust what you're hearing, then you shouldn't be buying any of this gear. I would say, you know, my biggest piece of advice for new engineers, especially if you're getting into mastering and maybe you're starting in a room where you didn't have a chance to do a $100,000 build out and it's just not feasible, you're better off working entirely in the box with a Trinnov and a really good set of speakers than you are trying to buy a bunch of fancy outboard gear. Your results are going to be better. The amount of money I spent on the Trinnov is peanuts. When you really think about what you're getting and what it's doing, the amount of money you would spend on an ST2 is really nothing compared to the increase in productivity and just the ability to be able to work and travel with the unit if you need to, or take an already good space like this and being able to have multiple engineers that like a slightly different sound work on the same system is great. I wouldn't be able to do that without the Trinnov. The Trinnov is a room correction system, but it does so much more. It's a tool that allows you to get the job done without anything obscuring your vision. It takes the room out of the equation. This is the way to get world-class results almost anywhere. You know, one of the coolest things about this system is the ability to be able to store presets and set it up in a new room, shoot the room, and have that room sound pretty close to the room that you might be familiar with. I don't know any other system that can do that.